Understanding tsunamis. A tsunami is a series of massive ocean waves, usually triggered by an underwater disturbance such as an earthquake, volcanic eruption, landslide, or even a meteorite impact. These waves are different from ordinary wind-driven waves. A normal wave is mostly a surface movement of water. A tsunami, however, involves the movement of an enormous volume of water from the ocean floor to the surface. Tsunami waves can travel at 500 to 800 kilometers per hour across the open ocean. In deep water, they may only be a few feet high and go unnoticed by ships. But as they approach shallower coastal waters, they slow down and grow dramatically in height, sometimes reaching 30 meters, 100 feet or more. This sudden wall of water can sweep inland with tremendous force, destroying everything in its path. The 2004 Indian Ocean Tsunami. The 2004 Indian Ocean Tsunami is often referred to as the deadliest tsunami in modern history. On December 26, 2004, at 7:58 a.m. local time, a magnitude 9.1 to 9.3 undersea megathrust earthquake struck off the west coast of Sumatra, Indonesia. The rupture occurred along the boundary where the Indian plate is being forced beneath the Burma plate. The earthquake lasted about 8 to 10 minutes, one of the longest ever recorded, and it caused the seafloor to lift by as much as 15 meters, 50 feet, over an area hundreds of kilometers long. This sudden displacement of water created a series of tsunamis that radiated outward across the Indian Ocean. Within 15 to 30 minutes, waves up to 30 meters, 100 feet, high hit the coastlines of Aceh in northern Sumatra, completely flattening villages. The waves then spread across the region, reaching Thailand, Sri Lanka, India, and eventually even hitting Somalia and Kenya in East Africa, thousands of kilometers away. Some locations were struck 2 to 3 hours after the quake, but because there was no regional early warning system in place, most communities had no time to evacuate. The 2011 Tohoku tsunami in Japan. On March 11, 2011, Japan faced one of the most devastating disasters in its history. A magnitude 9.0 megathrust earthquake struck about 70 kilometers, 43 miles, off the northeast coast of Honshu, Japan's largest island. The earthquake was so powerful that it shifted the axis of the Earth by several centimeters and moved parts of Japan's coastline by more than 2 meters. Within minutes, a series of tsunami waves surged toward the coast. In some places, the waves reached 40 meters, 131 feet, high and penetrated several kilometers inland. The tsunami inundated towns, ports, and farmland, sweeping away cars, ships, and buildings as if they were toys. More than 18,000 people were killed or went missing, and hundreds of thousands were left homeless. Beyond the immediate devastation, the tsunami triggered the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster, flooding the plant's backup generators and causing reactor meltdowns that released radioactive material. The 1755 Lisbon tsunami. On the morning of November 1, 1755, as Lisbon prepared for All Saints' Day celebrations, a massive magnitude 8.5 to 9.0 earthquake struck just off the Portuguese coast. The tremors destroyed much of the city's architecture, including iconic churches and palaces. Fires broke out, further worsening the disaster. About 20 to 30 minutes later, the sea suddenly receded, exposing the harbor floor and stranding ships, a classic warning sign of an incoming tsunami. Moments later, waves estimated to be 5 to 15 meters, 16 to 49 feet, high rushed back in, drowning survivors who have fled to the waterfront for safety. The tsunami also devastated other parts of Portugal, Spain, North Africa, and even crossed the Atlantic to affect the Caribbean. Combined with the quake and fires, the disaster killed between 60,000 and 100,000 people, making it one of the deadliest natural disasters in European history. The Lisbon disaster profoundly influenced Enlightenment thinkers. Philosophers like Voltaire questioned traditional views of divine punishment for disasters, and the event spurred the early development of seismology and disaster planning in Europe. The 1883 Krakatoa tsunami. In August 1883, the small volcanic island of Krakatoa in Indonesia erupted in one of the most violent volcanic events ever recorded. The final catastrophic explosions on August 27 were so loud that were heard nearly 3,000 miles, 4,800 kilometers away in Australia and the Indian Ocean Islands. The eruption caused most of the island to collapse into the sea, displacing massive volumes of water and generating tsunamis with waves up to 41 meters, 135 feet, high. Coastal villages in Java and Sumatra were obliterated. An estimated 36,000 people were killed, most by the tsunamis rather than the eruption itself. The disaster also had global effects. The volcanic ash ejected into the atmosphere lowered average global temperatures by about 1.2 degrees Celsius, 2.2 degrees Fahrenheit, for several years and produced vivid red sunsets that inspired artists worldwide. The 1896 Sanriku tsunami in Japan, Japan's long coastline and position along the Pacific Ring of Fire, make it especially prone to tsunamis. On the night of June 15, 1896, a magnitude 8.5 undersea earthquake struck off the Sanriku coast. Residents were celebrating a local festival when the tsunami arrived unexpectedly. Waves as high as 38 meters, 125 feet, swept ashore under the cover of darkness, catching communities completely off guard. More than 22,000 people were killed, making it one of the deadliest tsunamis in Japan's history. The tragedy deeply influenced Japanese society and helped spur the development of early tsunami research and coastal defenses. The 1700 Cascadia earthquake and tsunami. On January 26, 1700, a massive magnitude 8.7 to 9.2 earthquake struck the Cascadia subduction zone off the Pacific Northwest coast of North America. The quake caused large sections of the coastline to drop by several feet, instantly displacing water and launching a tsunami that crossed the Pacific Ocean. Remarkably, Japanese historical records describe an orphan tsunami striking their shores about 10 hours later, even though no local quake had been felt. This record helped modern scientists confirm the timing and scale of the Cascadia event. Indigenous oral histories from the Pacific Northwest also describe ground shaking and flooding, offering valuable evidence of the disaster. The tsunami waves likely reached 10 to 15 meters, 33 to 49 feet along parts of the North American coast, destroying coastal villages. Today, the Cascadia subduction zone remains a significant threat, and experts warn that another megaquake and tsunami could occur in the future. The 1946 Aleutian Islands tsunami. On April 1, 1946, an 8.6 magnitude earthquake struck near the Aleutian Islands in Alaska. The resulting tsunami traveled across the Pacific Ocean at speeds of up to 800 kilometers (500 miles per hour). The first waves struck nearby islands within minutes, wiping out a lighthouse and killing 5 people. About 5 hours later, the tsunami reached Hilo, Hawaii, where waves up to 14 meters (46 feet) high caused catastrophic destruction. In total, about 165 people were killed. This disaster exposed the vulnerability of Pacific coastal regions and led to the establishment of the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center, PTWC, in 1949, which has since helped save countless lives. Lessons learned from history. Each of these events demonstrates how tsunamis can strike without warning and how devastating their effects can be. They have shaped our understanding of tsunami risks and inspired advances in science and emergency management. Modern warning systems now include seismographs, deep ocean pressure sensors, satellite communications, and GPS buoys to detect tsunamis and issue alerts. Evacuation drills and public education campaigns in countries like Japan and Indonesia have greatly improved community preparedness. However, tsunamis remain unpredictable. Near-shore earthquakes can send waves ashore within minutes, leaving little time to respond. The key to survival is swift action. If you feel strong shaking near the coast or see the sea suddenly recede, you should move immediately to higher ground. The continuing threat. Tsunamis are a permanent part of Earth's natural processes, especially in regions along tectonic plate boundaries. As human populations continue to grow in coastal areas, the potential for disaster remains high. Studying historical tsunamis helps scientists improve forecasting models, strengthen building codes, and design better coastal defenses. It also keeps the memory of past tragedies alive, reminding us that preparation and awareness are our best tools against these powerful forces of nature.